The Blame Dagger is the third full-length album from Nubivagant. This is an Italian solo project that is a little bit hard to peg in terms of subgenre. You definitely get the sense that this is a black metal musician, and in many ways, the gimmick or the thing about this record is that it is essentially atmospheric black metal presented with clean vocals. It takes some liberties with that description, and that's not exactly what it is. I think a lot of people, when they first heard including me, when I heard their first record, it sounded a bit more like a doom metal record, something like Urfaust or Bathory, in the sense that they use that epic sense of space for their atmospheric black metal and clean vocals that brings it into a realm of just something else. And it is probably spiritually black metal, but it's also intentionally hypnotic, and the way that the artist describes it as monotonous black metal, where it is meant to be expressed in a monotone. There's no necessarily any specific emotional passion behind any of his performances. And I think that's interesting to consider here, because not only is it a pretty passionate sounding record, it's not exactly a black metal record, and from my point of view, but also the second album from the band, I felt leaned into some of those traditional heavy metal sounds, and was probably their best record to date. The closest thing to the general affect of the group and the way that they present rhythms in a hypnotic and sort of heady way is probably Inquisition. Of course, the vocals are very different here, but they approach in a hypnotic way. And so this third record, it is really just more of the same. I think what we'll do is get to a song here, and I'll parse some of the smaller differences that make this record worth trying out. Although overall, I'd probably just recommend their second record to start with if you haven't heard them before.
Thinking about dreams untold, and the dagger fell upon all of them.
The Wheel in the Universe was actually kind of a passionate sounding record. The vocal inflections were very strong, and there was something I just kind of connected with that record as soon as I heard it. And so when I see that the artist describing their work as monotonous by intent, and then this record being described as more aggressive in its pacing and general role, I was surprised because it doesn't sound that much difference. There are some black metal paced songs here. There are some faster fed movements here. But most of these songs lay out a similar pacing. There's a couple of slower pieces later on, and there's no real drastic change in the sound that moves away from the general personage of their whole gig. I think this is a very focused work, and in that sense, it's kind of unchanging and unmoving beyond those types of expressions. I say as we get later on in the record, and we get up to like a Voice of a Black Candle, and there are chorales and vocals that sort of that inflect and sing along in a way that Corthon would in a certain era. We couldn't call this Viking metal, we couldn't call this black metal in that sense, but we are getting that epic feeling from it, and there is an epic, tormented, and sinister tone to this record nonetheless, and I think that's what keeps it interesting. There is a nuanced depth to the time that you will spend with this band and their 3 albums, and I think this record typically doesn't do anything that is outrageous compared to what the previous 2 did. It adds to it, like I describe it in the review as this is the third chapter. It really is essentially what it is, and he's iterating in a way that makes sense. It is a little bit new, but not that different from the last part. What worked before still works on this record, so if you liked it, this is essentially more of it, and for that reason, it's a moderately high recommendation, because if you've been a fan from the start, this won't be drastically different, but it will feel like an improvement. If you haven't been a fan before and you want to check this band out, this is a pretty good place to start and get a sense for what they do, but I wouldn't say it is their best overall performance, and between the riffs and the vocals and all that. I think the second record still takes that role, but this one is still worth checking out. Again, a moderately high recommendation, and check this out. This released today on October 4th. And of course, read my review if you'd like more detailed thoughts on just what I thought of this record and the way that it adds to the discography of this band.